as well as other pre-adolescent versions of other Canadian Comic Book Alliance characters. And it's just a really neat story about little Auroraman, little Auric, and the other little heroes being at this camp, this summer camp, and their counselor is the Canuck Comet, who appears to be something of an egotistical young hero himself, and just getting to see an adventure at the dance which is held at the camp. This actually provides me with a good opportunity to tell you folks about the Canadian Comic Book Alliance. It is an alliance of a number of independently created comic book characters. Characters such as Auroraman, Auric of the Great White North, Big Nick, the Canadian Corps, Space Pig Amadeus. I gotta get my hands on that someday. That sounds amazing. Jack Grimm, Harbinger of Death. There was a Kickstarter a short time ago for a set of trading cards of all of the Canadian Comic Book Alliance characters, and unfortunately, it didn't get funded. It's a shame because it would have been a really neat collectible. Would have become a really neat historical artifact in years' time, showing that these characters, who were created by Canadians from across the country, are all in the same universe. And so all of the creators, of course, keep full creative control over their own characters, but they can also appear with each other in each other's creators' various projects. And I'll also tell you, I won't tell you who exactly it is, but a character from the Canadian Whites also appears in this little Auroraman story, which is really, really neat. Okay, the next story is Summer Chill, drawn by Christopher Yao, with colors by Donovan Yasiak. Christopher Yao, of course, the artist on Major North, written by Sam Noir. And here we get to see a super villain putting up a challenge for Auroraman. Her name is Dr. Winterkill. I guess her powers are somewhat akin to Killer Frost's, but really neat to see that we're getting a rogues gallery being built up here for Auroraman. And really neat to see evil snowmen appear in this story. And also what we're seeing through these various stories is the progression of the hero. So we're seeing that even though he's doing this all without a user's manual, Jeff Burton is slowly getting the hang of using the staff and the meteor. The next story in the spectacular is a 3D adventure, written again by Jeff Burton, art by Jason Silvestri, I want to say. Let me just look up the exact title of it. Yeah, it's called simply the 3D Adventure. A really neat story in which Auroraman is going up once again against the elements. Really neat, the threat which he faces here. I don't want to spoil it for you, but wow, this is in 3D, and I can't wait until I get the physical copy of this. It's in full color, by the way. The story is, so you can read it without 3D glasses. It'll just be interesting to see what it looks like when we get through the glasses. I mean, I guess I can try it if I can find a pair of 3D glasses somewhere. Just not sure how well it'll work reading off a computer screen. But But I mean, that was one of the hooks that got me to back the Kickstarter. Because 3D stories, a neat concept and something that we don't see all the time. And some great art on top of that, too. 3D aside by Jason Silvestri. The final story, Prelude to a Storm, co-scripted by A.P. Fuchs. Sorry if I butchered the name there. Art by Justin Schauf. Colors by Donovan Yasic. The colors really pop here. Shout out to Mr. Yasic for his work. It looks really neat. And this is set in the town of Humboldt, Saskatchewan. Seeing Auroraman going into an adventure, but also meeting up with another hero, Axiom Man. And part of the Kickstarter was in support of the Axiom Man novel. And I didn't put in the pledge that would get me the novel, but after reading this story and getting introduced to Axiom Man, I think I need to get in touch with Mr. Burton and ask about how I can purchase a digital copy of the novel, because as my wife likes to say, I don't read enough books. And just the way this story ends with the two of them meeting, as well as another interesting panel to conclude this story, makes me really want to read the novel and see who exactly Axiom Man is. But really great stuff with this 64-page spectacular. Okay, I'm going to take a brief pause, and then when I get back, I'll talk about the Christmas Jam mini-comic. All right, and now looking at the Auroraman Christmas Jam 2017. The lead story introduces us to the villainous Baron von Schnitzel, who's one of those classic, straight-up, snidely whiplash type evil character who's just out to create trouble for the innocent people in Watson, Saskatchewan. And he's brought backup with him just to try to tear the town up, get some weird sort of vengeance against Santa Claus, but it's Auroraman to the rescue. Just seeing the hero jumping right in. At this point, he's got a really good handle on his powers, it seems. And just having some general fun with his staff as well. I'll just say that Auroraman is not the only hero who appears in this story. Another particular holly jolly, well-rounded superhero who makes his appearance every 24th/25th of December. Makes an appearance in this story. The art is by Colin Work. Really fun-looking art for this one. And the colors really pop, too. Very enjoyable lead story. The next story, a one-page story in which Auroraman, our protagonist, actually takes a back seat in this story, which is titled Date Night, drawn by Marvin Law of Zip Kramer fame, with colors by Donovan Yasiak. And Baron von Schnitzel is back, and he's got a whole posse. I'm assuming these are Canadian Comic Book Alliance antagonists out to do no good, especially towards Auroraman. But the theme of this story here is the hero always has at least one person who's got his back on the night when he deserves to enjoy putting his power set aside and just having a date night. Really sweet one-page story. The next story, just get to it, Worlds Overlap, drawn in colors by Colin Work. Just a one-page story which shows us just how tough it can be for a person who is a spouse, a parent, a teacher, and a superhero. And the last story is one that any school teacher can relate to. It's drawn and colored by Colin Work. It's a really neat story seeing that a superhero doesn't have to wear a costume. They don't have to have a superhero alias. They don't even have to have an object which gives them great power. Sometimes the greatest superheroes are those who can inspire the young and help them through a trying time. And again, as a school teacher myself, I read this one-page story and had a smile on my face at the end. A really great story for any school teacher to read after having a long, hard day at work. So there you go, folks. There are the contents of the Auroraman 64-page spectacular and the Christmas Jam mini comic. And I just want to thank Mr. Jeff Burton so much for reaching out to me and letting me know about Auroraman. I knew about Auroraman through the Kickstarter, but if I hadn't known about that, it would have been a real shame if Mr. Burton had never contacted me, because he's connected me with this really wonderful character who he's created. So, folks, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please do check the show notes over on the Facebook page so you can find out how to get in touch with Jeff. He's a really swell guy. Always respond to me really quickly, and I want to congratulate him on all of the success he's enjoyed so far, and I just hope that there's going to be a lot more success and a lot more Auroraman stories to come in the near future. And folks, I thank you for being so patient as I've been stifling this cough throughout the recording of this episode. So I'm going to put things to bed very soon. But just again, in closing, for those of you who celebrate Christmas as a religious holiday, I wish you a very Merry Christmas. For those of you who are not practicing, do not belong to any particular religious denomination, but still enjoy the 25th of December as a time to be with those who you love. I wish you a Merry Christmas as well. To everybody, the best of the holiday season, and I'm looking so forward to coming back to you in the new year with episode 112, in which I'll be putting the spotlight back on the Golden Age Green Lantern, Alan Scott, this time looking at the adventures of the Keeper of the Emerald Flame during the post-Zero Hour era. A really neat 5-year span between 1994 and 1999 when Alan came out of a very brief period of retirement and underwent a couple of pretty significant and interesting transformations. So I'll look forward to speaking with you all about Alan Scott on January 8th. Until then, this class is dismissed.